Leprechaun's Treasure, an Irish Tale. Leprechaun's Treasure, an Irish Tale. One day on their way home from school, Deidre and Danny heard a strange noise off in the distance. "I wonder what that could be," Danny asked. "It sounds like it's coming from the other side of the bog," replied Deidre. "Let's go see." So Deidre and Danny made their way across the soft, wet peat bog. "Look!" cried Danny. Hanging from a sharp, pointy thorn was a tiny little man who was kicking and screaming and making quite a fuss. He was holding a tiny little hammer in one hand and a tinier little shoe in the other. "Danny," Deidre whispered, "I think we found a leprechaun." "I think you're right," Danny whispered back. "That's a shoemaker's hammer he's holding. He must be a leprechaun." "How in the world did you get up there?" Deidre asked. "Who cares?" answered the little man. "Just get me down." "Wait a minute," said Danny. "If you're a leprechaun, that means you have a pot of gold hidden somewhere. We won't let you down until you tell us where it is." "Pot of gold," said the little man. "What pot of gold? I am just a poor cobbler." "No, you're not. You're a leprechaun," Deidre said. "And you will tell us where to find your pot of gold. We won't, and until you tell us where to find your pot of gold, we won't set you free." "All right," the little leprechaun replied. "I'll show you where it is." So Deidre bent the branch down, and Danny gently lifted the leprechaun off the thorn. "Now you must show us where your gold is," Danny said. So the leprechaun directed Deidre and Danny down a winding path through fields of heather and gorse. As they went along, the path became more and more overgrown. "How much farther?" Danny asked. "There it is," the leprechaun sighed. "Where?" asked Deidre. "Over there," replied the leprechaun, "buried under that blackthorn." "We don't have anything to dig with," Deidre said. "I guess we'll have to go home and get shovels." "But how will we find the blackthorn again?" Danny asked. "They all look the same." "I know," answered Deidre. "Let's tie your handkerchief on it." "That's a good idea," Danny said. "But you have to promise not to take it off," Deidre said to the leprechaun. "I promise," the leprechaun said with a sly grin. Danny set the little man down on the ground while Deidre tied the handkerchief to the blackthorn. In a flash, the leprechaun was gone. "Let's go," Danny said. They ran down the winding path and across the peat bog. When they reached their house, they grabbed 2 shovels and hurried back to the blackthorn. But when they returned, there were handkerchiefs just like Danny's everywhere they looked.